Hello and welcome to the Nothing But Respect podcast in association with Fail Media. I'm your host Brucehillbhoy, and today I'm joined by regular contributor ocbhoy.
How you doing?
And today we've got a special guest, as in David, who goes to university with me. So, hi David, how you doing?
Hi Daniel.
It's been a quiet few weeks in the world of Celtic, so we've not got much to talk about really, so we'll not bore you for too long. Darren, what did you bring us up to speed since our last podcast?
Well, I think we were last on after Gladbach, so we had the Inverness game, we won 3-0, and then it's just been pretty much international break. But like you say, it's been pretty quiet considering the first few months of the season.
So David, seeing as you're a new guest, we'll need to make everybody believe that you're a Celtic man. So what was your thoughts on the Gladbach game?
Overall positive, but I don't think we had the luxury of a draw after the home game. The performance was great. I mean, the home game's already been dissected, so there's no point going back to that, reflecting on it, or regretting the result. I thought the away performance was positive as a whole, not just when Gladbach went down to 10 men. I thought Celtic restricted them. I thought, Sinclair unlucky hitting the post. And another night, Celtic could have went 1, maybe 2 up before Gladbach scored. So, the performance was great. It was much improved from recent away performances in Europe. Hopefully we can try and make those kind of positive away performances a bit more consistent in Europe.
Yeah, and you've been moaning to me for 3 weeks about Callum McGregor's miss. So, that was one of the hot talking points.
Right.
And, so since we've been away with the international break really, and not really much has been happening in the world of Celtic. Kieran Tierney obviously injured, missed the Scotland games, which was maybe a wee bit of a blessing. Well, certainly because he's injured, but the one man that has caught the headlines during the international break in a Celtic perspective is Moussa Dembele, surprise, who scored not one but twice against England under 21s the other night.
Yep.
So we're maybe a wee bit handicapped ourselves here, because whenever a player at Celtic starts to play well, we start to discuss how much he's going to go for rather than what he's actually going to achieve at Celtic. But let's continue in that vein, because it's a key point. David, the England under 21s are obviously overrated by their own media. Every time there's a tournament they reckon that they've got the best chance of going and winning it. So what do you think 2 goals against England's under 21s will do for the evaluation of Dembele?
Well, because you were saying that they are quite overrated, I mean, if you do look at some of the names in the England under 21 teams, you've probably not heard of half of them, to be honest. Their best player's probably Watmore. I mean, that maybe says a lot about their team. I like Duncan Watmore, but
he scored a great goal in the same game.
He did, but I mean, it's not just the goals or the quality he was up against. It's how he took them. It was the quality of the 2 goals. I mean, you've got Dembele playing for France under 21s. Now, he'll know playing for France that he's not going to get many chances. So he'll be under pressure every time he goes out to perform for France. And the 2 goals were just absolute class. No matter who it was up against, you saw the way he ran away from the defence for the first goal. He could do that to anybody. That's just class. That's just awareness. And his free kick was top notch as well. So, I think in terms of his valuation, there's a chance we could be on to our first 20 million sale.
Just as you talk about the first goal, you're always taught to go back across the goalkeeper, but he's playing with a confidence that you only really get for scoring goals and stuff. But it shows a sign of a right good player. It just smacked it in the near post. He knew not only one did he have the power, but the technique to put it by a keeper. So Dan, every week now we seem to be discussing Dembele. It seems to be, but maybe we're trying to sell him, we'll be accused of next. But I mean, is there anything he can't do?
I don't think it's too much. Is there anything he can't do? Like when he scored for France under 21s the other night, that was him scoring a free kick. That's something else. He just keeps adding to his game. I think he knows, like, because he's only had a few caps for France under-21s. I think it was like 3 games he's had and he scored 5 goals. That's, in the Champions League and possibly the under-21 level as well, that's where he's really going to be judged, and he just gets better. And the first goal he scored, it's not the first time he's done that. Like, he's done it against Alloa, done it against Kilmarnock. Like, he's just inside that box, he just takes anybody on, and he just keeps getting better and better. And it's just, I find it quite funny, because if you go back 8 weeks, there was people writing him off, and I think it just showed the value of being patient with these type of players.
Yeah, first time I've ever met David, because David's a new entry to our uni course. I actually thought he was a Rangers fan because he says to me, well, he never says to me, I heard in passing him saying, Dembele's overrated, he's only scored against Rangers. To which I said, well, who's your top goal scorer then? And he said, Scott Sinclair. So, and then I realised he was a good guy after all. But in terms of Dembele, you say free kicks, it's like as if he's finding new ways to score. But he turned it into, obviously it's a positive for Celtic anyway, but let's not talk about Celtic selling him, let's talk about Celtic buying players. It's Dembele's model of saying, do you know what, big teams want me, but I want to play football. I'm only 19, 20. Do you think, David, that will work for Celtic as a positive if, just say, they're trying to sign maybe the next Dembele in 3 or 4 years?
Well, it can only help. For a start, it can only help in keeping them as well, because we've clearly got a really talented individual who's in no hurry to leave. That puts Celtic in such a strong position when it comes to potentially selling them. And, you know, if we can get a good valuation for him and a good move for him, you know, to a decent club, not someone like Sunderland or something like that, a decent English club, you know, that could turn a few heads down south as to their view on Celtic, and the fact that it could be a good move for them. I think it only helps when you have the likes of Dembele, the quality of a player like that coming out and saying, well, this is great, I'm enjoying my football, great place to play.
I think we've already established that he's not going to a Stoke or a Sunderland. You know, if he goes down south, it's Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. So, see, is he the best striker we've had since Larsson?
I still think that's possibly too early to say, but if he keeps going the way he is, then I don't see why he can't be. In terms of giving him that title, I think you would have to see him really close to 2-3 seasons. But to be fair, he looks different class to what we've had in recent years. And just on what you were saying, I think it can only be a positive for Celtic. Like, as much as Dembele's doing well and he's raising his own profile, he's raising Celtic's profile as well. Like, I'm sure Rodgers had a lot to do with him coming as well, but the size of the club, the manager we've got now, the fact that we're back in the Champions League, like David says, it can only help us. Just
going back to what you were saying about being as good a striker since Larsson, have to remember we still had Hartson and Sutton after Larsson left, so he's not quite as good as those boys yet, but no, he's on the right track.
I think it's almost certain that somebody will test for resolve, to use tabloids, in January. I really hope, not just for the financial sense, but I think this season we're on the verge of doing something special, domestically at least anyway, and he's playing really well in Europe and we're playing well in Europe at times. I don't think he'll go in this January. I don't think he wants to go. I think we're not just guessing his mindset here. He's come out numerous times and said, sign for Celtic because I wanted to play Champions League football and I want to just play football. You know, he was enjoying himself at Fulham, but, you know, obviously can't be in the Championship. He wants to test himself. He's up, he's playing in Europe. I think he's going to be the best since Larsson. I think I'll put that mantle on him now. I think he will be, even if he doesn't stay 7 years. I think if we get 2, 3, maybe even 4, I mean, look, let's be honest, he doesn't need to go anywhere until he's 24, 25. But the chances are Celtic, you know, we will cash in at some point. I think January we'll see somebody come in with maybe 10, 15 million, and as hard as it will be, we will need to be strong, because not just that, but you're upsetting maybe Rodgers. You know, you don't want to upset him because he's building something special.
Celtic can't afford to sell Dembele on several fronts. For a start, you'll have Rodgers, like you're saying. Rodgers, if I was Rodgers and Celtic accepted a bid for Dembele that I didn't want to happen, I would be saying to Peter Law, well, what's the point in me buying players, Peter, if they're only going to stay for 6 months, if they're good? Added to that, you'll have the fans on the back of the board again. There's just no point in signing a player if you're going to let him go in 6 months, because Dembele has a lot more to give Celtic, and we can get a lot more money for him than we might get in January. I don't think anyone's going to come in for him with £20 million in January. You might get 10, but he's the more he proves himself, the more he scores these goals in Europe, that will increase the evaluation, and we can get a lot more if we hold out and don't grab the first offer.
But what happens if, in touch with all this happens, he scores the winner next Wednesday night? He's only going to be even more popular, isn't he?
That could possibly happen, and we all hope it does, but if somebody comes in and say the top end of that figure, you said 15 million, I think Celtic have just got to stand strong and say, take a gamble and say, look, in August, in 6 months, he could be the man that leads us to 25-30 million in Champions League again, and selling him in January would be mad, because his value's not going to fall that dramatically in a 6 month period.
Unless he breaks his leg or something.
Also, this is a whole idea. This is, what qualifying for the Champions League is supposed to give you. You don't need to sell them because you've got this money from the Champions League. If we didn't qualify, then you could maybe understand it, getting a bit of income in for the club, but we don't need to, not now, and I wouldn't either.
Plus, they say the system is to bring these players in and sell them at a huge profit, but surely the system's got to be to win things as well.
Well, the system's got to be bring them in, let them do you a good turn for a bit of time, not 6 months, and then let them go when they've done Celtic a turn and they've increased their valuation.
I think you're spot on. But when we're talking about Dembele, we bought him for 500 grand, right? Obviously, we cheated a wee bit, it was a cross-border fee kind of thing, Tottenham and that had offered 6 million in the January, and he didn't go there, so they kept their own Moussa Dembele, and we get the better one. But in terms of, he's already, that penalty against Astana already paid his value back, then he got a hat-trick against Rangers. His goal against, let's not forget, his goal against Beersheva was a massive goal. Even though everybody thought it was Beaton that scored it.
Oh, he did.
It was. That was coming at a time where we were cruising 3-2. He came on and scored, and then
he played well in the second leg when he came off the bench. He held it up very well.
He scored a cracker.
Unlucky, so you see these things as he's paid his value back and more. So as you see, his value to Celtic's increasing every week. But as you say, with a free kick last week against Rangers in the semi-final, it's a back heel. He's one of the players, he keeps finding new ways to score goals. So, and obviously he's not his peak yet, but I still think there's a lot of flaws in his game. I think he's very raw. I don't think he's a great passer there, but what he's got is, when it comes down to it, he's got a basic skill level where he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net and he knows how to bring players into the game. He's got great skill, as we've seen against Aberdeen and stuff, and his goal against Alloa. People don't actually feel when he picks that ball, he does a wee turn. And right. To get himself on goal.
He's just setting up Sinclair for his goal in the Celtic Rangers game as well. That's just, like you say, he's raw, but he's just so talented.
But sometimes you see him running with the ball, and you think it's just like watching the way Amida Balde used to do it. You just, you'd be screaming for somebody to get the ball off him.
To get one Amida Balde reference in, now you get 2 and 2 episodes.
I know, exactly.
It's just inconsistency. The guy was, he's just turned 20, isn't he? He's still a boy. It's hard to forget that. He's not going to be perfect every week. His first touch in a minute can either be top quality or that of a donkey. But
he's a big game player, though.
He is. He's a big game player. And what a talent to have at 20 years old. If this guy was English, or Christ, even Scottish, the Scottish media would be going absolutely crazy. Yeah. So there's a lot of flaws, but you'd expect that at 20 years old.
I think he's still got out a lot in his game. I think it's just very small stuff, like when he learns maybe when to pass it, when to maybe take a shot. But as you say, he's a big game player. And even the Barcelona game, he missed a penalty. But there you see the very next chance in the Champions League penalty, he's there to take it. And it's almost an arrogance of, well, I'm that good. I mean, I just think January is going to be so tough. You need to, as you say, 10, 15, as you say, it's not enough for Dembele, because we've sent down players like Foster, Van Dijk, Wanyama, right? Now, good Celtic players, good servants to Celtic, gave us 2-3 good years each of them. Foster was good in Europe. Wanyama was alright. Van Dijk was very suspect in Europe. And now look at Van Dijk. Now, he's Southampton, he's captaining them in the San Siro, and their talks of 30-40 million to Man United. So if anybody's coming up for any of our players, Dembele's proven it in Europe.
And also look at the likes of, Man United. They signed Eric Bailly for about £30 million from Villarreal. Why should we be any different from Villarreal? Or you see the likes of Sporting Lisbon buying Ryan Gold, then slapping about a €30 million buyout clause on him. He's hardly developed at all before they've slapped that value on him. So I get the financial situation's a bit different in Scotland, but like we were saying, that Champions League money allows us to say, no, I don't think so. This is his valuation. If you want him, you pay this, nothing less.
I think we need to start getting for him, because the point I was going to make was, I was going to ask you a question. I've been planning this for a couple of days because I'm sad. But just say Southampton, for example, wanted to sign Griffiths in January. Much money would you think deem acceptable for Griffiths?
That's really down to circumstance, because if we got another striker in who we thought was going to give us that level of form that Griffiths has showed for the last 2 seasons, it's a tough one. Nowhere near that, probably you'd be looking, if you get anywhere over 6-7 million, you'd be probably chopping it off for Griffiths.
See, my point is, what would your fair valuation of Griffiths be?
You've still got to remember the value Griffiths should still have. He's a reason we beat Beersheva. He's a reason we qualified with his goal in Astana as well. Yep. He's still a very, very good player, and we've also got to remember, if we sell Griffiths, chances are we won't get the same quality back for whoever we buy, because he has quality. We're lucky to have the two. So for a valuation, 10 million, 10,
right, well,
nothing less.
I would say normally, I mean, you need to remember he's Scottish as well. We don't get rated as high. But I would say if Southampton, let's know Dembele's a special case, right? So we'll not talk about Dembele. If Southampton are wanting to sign any of our players, we should be saying to them, no, you owe us top dollar, because you know the quality you're going to get.
I think Southampton know the deal now. They've bought Van Dijk, they've bought Wanyama. If they want anyone decent up here, they have to go into 8 figures. So.
I think like the top 4 or 5 English clubs are they'll get wise to that Southampton have bought very well from Celtic. Yeah. And rather than...
Then Liverpool have bought very well from Southampton.
Aye, but you're talking about the figures Van Dijk's getting punted about. Like, your Arsenal's and Man United, still we think we could have had him from Celtic for 12 million.
The thing is, do you think the likes of Man United want Van Dijk?
I think they would take him.
I wouldn't think so.
I think they would take him in a heartbeat, that defence.
I think so.
I think he's a standout in there.
But I think he's very... I think the key point with Van Dijk in relation to Dembele is Van Dijk was suspect in Europe, and we're not talking about...
But look who he was playing with,
I know, but
Effie
and Boyana, like, he was very suspect. Even in the Europa League games with Denaya, he was suspect against like Astra and stuff.
Sent off in Milan.
So he was very suspect in Europe, and people said that, well, we did well to get 14. So one thing that is noticeable though with Foster, Wanyama and that is the prices went up every time. So Southampton know they're getting a great deal, because I know they managed Wanyama very poorly. They ended up having to sell him for £1 million loss in the end. But if they were to sell Foster, which they might do in a couple of years, they will get probably the 15 million at least. Depends who needs a goalkeeper. But big team needs a keeper, and Van Dijk will go for 35 to 40. If John Stones goes for 45.
It's interesting what you're saying with Van Dijk and all, because now you say it, I remember a few games where he got key red cards, and you're thinking to yourself, Christ, Virgil, what are you doing? So Yeah.
I think the thing with Van Dijk was he was clearly a very classy defender on the ball. He was always just kind of he coasts through games here,
too
so
easy.
he does in Europe. I think maybe he's a wee bit more focused now than South, and
I think he got a fright in his first game against Man United when Marshall ran him absolute riot.
a bit of doing that there enough, didn't he? Yeah. But I think that the point is, like, Dembele's a special case, but well, resolve, in my opinion, will be tested, so it depends. Are we really up for... Because people just get this notion the Celtic board just want to make money and 10, I of course take them. I think it's different. I think when Brendan Rodgers walked in the doors, the whole outset of the club changed.
The philosophy of the club changed. You've seen that from top to bottom. Even with the scouting system changing, absolutely everything changed that day.
I think when Rodgers came in, there must be reassurances there. There's no doubt he's said to Peter Lawwell and the board, I want to build a team. That doesn't mean we can't sell players, but it does mean we're not selling them as soon as I buy them, getting a thing first offer, like we were saying.
Dembele was the first Rodgers signing, wasn't he? He was the first in the door.
So.
Yeah, he was. I think
and he's turned out to be the best so far. Like, they've all turned out to be good. But what does that say about the board's relationship, or the board's, did you say, promises, reassurances to Rodgers if they sell his main jigsaw piece at the first opportunity?
Don't think it just... I think it comes with Desmond.
Would they walk? Would Rodgers walk?
If what?
If they sell Dembele?
No.
I think he cares too much for the club to walk halfway through a season.
I think this all came from Desmond. I think Desmond was raging last season at how things went.
Well, we heard about
semi-final rumours.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the whole Rangers board going a bit mental on the touchline.
Well, the strikers try and fight with schoolboys, so anything could be possible.
I don't know. I think Desmond was quite angry at the whole affair in general last season.
Well, I know you're on the other side. Me and OC were quite we liked Tyler. We wouldn't make any apology and stuff. And I think we did agree that there was a general, I don't want to use the malaise that gets overused, but there was a kind of scurriedness about Celtic, especially last year, favouring about Christmas onwards. It was a wee bit of that. And the thing, we were there at Parkhead when Rodgers get unveiled, and you could feel it. You could feel the kind of, not just the hope, because that get drained out when they get beat half Lincoln Red Imps, but even before he spoke, like when we walked up to Parkhead that day, it felt like a League Cup game against like a Raith Rovers or an Alaba or something. Middle of September, nice, no sun still out. Felt like, you were just wanting the youth team to come on and kick a ball out so you could cheer. There was like 13,000 days there going mental. And I remember saying that I think we won the treble this year, and it was obviously you say things like that when you're excited.
That every season, don't you?
I didn't just feel like that day. I didn't feel like, we're going to be a good team next year. I thought the club changed for the better, because if the Celtic board were as bad as everybody makes it, Owen Coyle or Paul Lambert, maybe no Lambert, but like
Lennon would have got it.
Aye, Lennon,
Neil.
Malky Mackay, it would have been somebody like that. But we actually backed Moyes, didn't we?
So did I. Moyes was my first choice as
Moyes
well.
and somehow came round to Keane as well.
I think we all had...
You'd off your wages on Keane at one point.
I think we all had this idea that Moyes would have came in and just steadied the ship.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like he would have been capable
We've got an
of that.
episode titled Moyes' Boys. But I think we said, we agreed that the wig overall ground, but we did agree it was Rodgers and Moyes on a pedestal, and then anything else would be disappointment. But we were generally waiting on Roy Keane or Neil Lennon getting walked.
I'm just not sure. I think at the time I just didn't think Rodgers was realistic.
He seemed a bit unattainable.
Yeah, I think that's why I probably swayed towards Moyes.
Because his reputation took a bit of doing at Liverpool, especially the second season, his third season after they nearly won the league.
But you wouldn't expect, I know it's incredible thing to say now, but I wouldn't even expect damaged goods from Liverpool to come to Celtic these days.
No, but the point was he was starting to build his reputation again. Yeah. Whereas he was he was on things like Goals on Sunday and that, talking about, like his philosophy at Liverpool and stuff, and like he'd been offered the Swansea job, when that Gooderlin left. So, as you say, you felt he was completely unattainable. So it was a real shock. But to me, it just signalled the whole change, like a wind of, so which I think in January will come, and there will be a bid for Dembele. There'll be at least an inquiry. There's got to be. He's too good. They just need to stand strong and say, no, well, do you know what, we're not going to sell him this year. Come back in the summer. But I think it might be worth keeping him until 2018, because I think he's going to Russia with France.
I'd let him run down his contract right now. Have a happy 4 years.
I think you can. What did they sign? A 4-year deal? You could get 2 good years.
I think
out of Dembele.
I think we'll
3 would be great. I mean,
think he'll sign a new contract at the end of the year.
It's surely a case of just saying to Dembele after a couple of years, right, let us just extend this contract a bit so we can get a good deal for you. We'll let you go when a big club comes in. I'm sure Dembele will be happy with that. I think if you can keep him for a couple of years, think of the amount of good memories you could have. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to stop scoring against Rangers for a start. So I'd swap 30 million quid for 10 goals at Ibrox.
I think as well with Dembele, look at the clubs he could have went to in the summer. Now, let's take away his performances this year, right? Because he's been brilliant. When he left Fulham, it was the quality he had, right? Because he was an unknown quantity to a lot of us. We'd heard him, but nobody had claimed that we'd watched him every week. Say he had went. Is there a club he could have went to that he would be enjoying this level of success?
No, because I think one of the things that probably attracted him to us was the fact that being at Fulham, he's probably never won a trophy.
Yeah.
And maybe, no disrespect to Tottenham, but I think most people thought Man City, Chelsea and that would get their act together this season, so they weren't really going to be challenging for the title. So that's another thing he'll learn in his development, how he see out league titles. He's got a cup final coming up in a few weeks.
And I think people will knock the Scottish League, obviously, but see once, and this is why I think Rodgers is going to be great for Celtic, is see once they win, if God willing we win the League Cup, see when that group of players learn to win something, like your Dembele's, your Sinclairs, and they learn to get over that line, and then the league, we just keep stretching our lead every week, it seems. In like 18 months, when they've got that winner's mentality, if they go on and win the treble, that's added on to people's valuations, because they've learned how to win, they've learned how to see stuff out, and it's a maturing process. So,
well, you talk about a treble, see if we go through the next 2 months quite well, you could be looking at a team that's halfway through the league undefeated. Like you say, getting that mentality installed in them, it could be so important. And
then they're not only buying, just say for instance, we were talking about Man City and stuff getting their act together, even though it's Celtic, right, and Scottish League, whatever, but they're not just buying, they're not just spending 30 million on, just say it's 30 million, right, I doubt it, probably be closer to 20, I think we will break 20 for Dembele, but they're not just buying a good player, they're buying a mentality, a player that's going to come in and say, right, just say for instance Arsenal, right, or a Man City, who are maybe no Man City this season because they did get right together at the start of the season, but look at teams like Arsenal who maybe a wee bit dull, and you say he's got to come in and straight away he's got a winner's mentality. And Chris Sutton to me is the thing, he's the archetype for me, because it didn't matter who Sutton was playing against, whether it was Maldini or whether it was Ross Topley, he had the same mindset that I'm better than you and I'm going to score. And I think that's what we're breeding now again. Like in Dembele, we're breeding winners, and it can only be good for us in the long term.
Well, there's fear among every other club in the country at the minute at what Celtic are doing. I know Foran was out before the Inverness game saying, we are no scared, we'll come there and we'll have a go, and then his team sat back and tried to kick Celtic off the park. Teams are coming to Parkhead now, and when they get a shot, it's a surprise to you. It reminds. It's a bit like back to the O'Neill days of, maybe 2004 when Celtic would beat these teams coming to Parkhead, Motherwell, the likes 4 or 5-0, and you wouldn't be surprised by it. It's getting to that same level. I know some people now might see O'Neill's side as a bit untouchable, but I'm not seeing much of a difference in the way O'Neill's team played and dominated the country And in fact, in saying that, O'Neill's team didn't dominate the country the way we are at the minute. I know that maybe the difficulty was a bit tougher, but there's something arrogant about this team that's so similar to O'Neill's, and it's brilliant to see. We've missed this kind of confidence for years.
One thing we spoke about a lot last year, OC, was the team's complete lack of an ability to overcome an adversity.
Aye.
And we said, any time anything goes wrong under Tyler, whether it's a bad referee, whether it's going a goal behind, whether it's like the ref getting a throw in when it could have been a corner or something, you know, they just, it's as if, we've got an excuse to go and get beaten.
Aye.
Now, we're no paranoid, but at the start of the season, look at us at Tynecastle, you know, refs had really bad games. Look at the Inverness game. I thought the ref was a wee bit unlucky. I actually thought it wasn't that bad. It's at Johnston away, where Craig Thompson was booking Celtic players for looking at him. You've got, you know, they're doing it every week. They're going goals behind Kilmarnock. A wonder strike, you know, that can put you right off your game. Goals like that can in. They're back, and 5 minutes later, we're 2-1 up. I know it's so crazy that it's happened so soon, but we are brushing ourselves down and saying, right, let's go. And me and you discussed that last year, saying I'd love to see it just once, but
aye, you've seen it so often. Like, even I know we lost the game 7-0, but Barcelona, they take a lead, but then we get that chance to come back. Man City, they peg us back like 3 times. Well, 2 of the times we actually went back and took the lead. Like Kilmarnock, like you say, 10 minutes after they scored, we're 2-1 up.
Aberdeen, you know, they're kicking us off the park and the ref's not booking them.
The Man City one's a great example. How easy would it be to fold against a team like that when they've grabbed their equaliser? And 3 times. I know after the game they were all saying in the English press, oh, well, look at the character of Man City. And you're thinking, what? I don't think so.
How many times, and I would suggest the answer is 3, did you think, well, we'll go on and win now? You know, we've held it so long.
We'll go on and win.
No, Man City, I'm saying they'll go on and win. I think
Twice, actually, I thought after the third equaliser, I don't know, there was just a pattern the way that game was going. Whenever they equalised, I thought we seemed solid enough. I didn't think they went all out for the win either.
No, I thought the last 5 minutes...
In fact, they brought on a defender to try and keep their away point, which was flattering to Celtic.
Well, he took off Stone. Was it Stones?
No, he brought on Stones.
Took off
Zabaleta, but he put Kolarov at left back because he started him at centre half and he put him at left back to combat James Forrest, which I never thought I would see. But
that's right. There was a bit of a fear there.
Celtic's problem that night was they just couldn't hold on to the lead for 15-20 minutes. They just couldn't get that. Like the game was so frantic, they just couldn't settle it down.
I just
couldn't get Beaton on the ball, which was quite. But then again, he set up a second goal, but they couldn't just get him on the ball when they were in front.
Just think when you've got a team of that quality, it's constant bombardment. It's going to be so difficult to see what spells of pressure. I don't know if we would have won had we held on for half an hour or whatever.
I think if we'd have got to half time at 2-1, it could have been different. But
then Guardiola, on the other hand, Guardiola could have had a great team talking. His team could have come out flying, you know. But we came out flying at 2 each.
I think there was still signs of maybe.
When we finished that game 4-2-4.
I think there was maybe some. I think there was still a bit of the Ronnie factor on the team with the fact they were a bit. I don't think we ever believed we could win the game. I thought the team seemed a bit surprised when they were in front, maybe a wee bit nervous. We've not been in that position in a long time, ahead against a big team. But you know, it'll take a bit of practice, it'll take a bit of experience, and we'll get these results back.
I don't know if I agree about believing they could win, but I do agree in the sense I think the last 10-15 minutes they were like, well, we've been in front 3 times and they just keep coming back, so what we go do. But I mean, that's a discussion we've already had. So if we move on towards Friday, where 8,000 strong Celtic support will travel to Kilmarnock for what will no doubt feel like a home game in deepest, darkest Ayrshire. We'll see you're going, aren't you?
I sure am, yep. Looking forward to it, like you say. Selling out the away allocation is going to be good for us Friday night. I'm slightly concerned just because of the fact we had like Rogic and Izagiri travelling like long distances, so I'd probably prefer the game to be a Saturday lunchtime. But at the same time, we've got it on the Friday night and we can get that out of the way, and then it gives us a good 4 or 5 days until Barcelona.
Yeah, and we discussed last night about the team because, as you say, he tends to maybe leave Rogic out these games. I know he played them against Rangers right enough. Yeah. He played them for 60 minutes or 55. But in terms of the team, you were saying you thought O'Connell might get a game?
I think it's a possibility if Izagiri is judged to have not had enough time back before.
Because was Lustig injured?
Oh, he done an interview where straight after the Inverness game he says it would be 7 to 10 days, but he obviously didn't travel with Sweden, so I've not heard anything from Rodgers. So my thought was that if Izagiri is sort of unavailable and Lustig's still a doubt, I think it could go Sviatchenko, Simonovic and O'Connell as a back three, because I don't think Kilmarnock's going to attack us too much.
But do you think, David, would you be happy with that three at the back?
Yeah, I think he can afford that. I don't think Kilmarnock, I'm sure Clark will be out a couple of days before, like Foran saying, we'll keep a bash. But at the end of the day, they're rubbish.
Do you think
they won't attack Celtic?
Rodgers will do Neil Lennon in the sense where when Lennon discovered something worked for him, like once, he kept doing it, like Stokes on the right hand side or Samaras up front himself at Ibrox? Do you think he'll play Stuart Armstrong at right back?
No. I think he's...
The white Cafu.
He's a smart man, Rodgers. He knows how to change a game. He'll know what works and what doesn't with this team at the minute. I don't think it's a case of getting caught up in formations and tactics at the minute, because I just think the team's too good regardless of what formation they play. Celtic could play a 6-4-0 and still control the match against a Scottish team, you know.
I agree. I really do agree, but I would have liked to have seen that 3-5-2 against Kilmarnock and seen how Inverness, see how it developed. I felt cheated. I felt a wee bit kind of robbed that they had to go to the back four when Lustig got injured, because I was kind of interested to see how Robertson that played. He might have been a bit worried beforehand, because Inverness are actually one of the few teams in the country that will try and pass through you a bit. To leave yourself a wee bit exploited at the back could be bit of danger against Inverness, but he might try it. I don't know. I think he'll believe that he's no much reason to sway for the 4-2-3-1. Yeah, I agree. I think Rodgers has explained it as well, whereas he likes the 4-2-3-1 for many reasons. I don't think he likes two up front, because he wants to have a kind of one focal striker, Dembele.
It's interesting, because he played the two against Inverness and it wasn't working the way we would have liked it.
I thought he played Griffiths in the Rogic role, and didn't he?
Slightly, because when
Dembele
went off,
Griffiths
moved forward.
Didn't he like Griffiths in there? I know he scored, but I thought he's got the quality to do it. Don't get me wrong, Griffiths, he strikes a mean ball, but see when we're struggling for a goal and you see him dropping back 20 yards.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does on Friday. He made a good point, Rodgers, in his presser, or might have been the AGM, when he said it's funny how we've got all these players away in international duty, then we're the ones on the Friday night. Players like Rogic.
Conspiracy.
That's what it is. Players like Rogic and some of the other boys, I can't think of them off the top of my head now, but they'll not be anywhere near ready to play on Friday night.
Rogic will get back.
No, he won't. He'll get back.
I mean,
you can't
play Tuesday, but it's a long flight.
It's a 24-hour flight.
It's a day flight. He'll not come back.
He'll not come back.
He'll not come back. The enhanced stands at the plane.
I don't think he'll play. I don't think he'll play at all. Even though it is the scene of his.
That's frustration. The fact that we can't play Rogic because we're playing on Friday night. It's a joke. We can't play our strongest team.
Yeah, I was going to get into this later, and we still will. But we'll talk about Kilmarnock first. Chris Boyd's never really posed as much of a threat in the past, whether it's by Kilmarnock or Rangers, but he is playing well this season. And Kilmarnock have got a bit of the kind of testimonial kind of fit team about them, whereas they will routinely get beat some weeks. But
I think they've got better as the season's
gone
on, Kilmarnock, because they signed a lot of new players at the start.
He signed 11 players in one day at one point. And this Kilmarnock boy seems to be a bit of a kind of wild card. He obviously scored a great goal against us, but obviously they went and got horsed at Ibrox. But they beat St Johnstone 1-0 away, which was a cracking result. But we are too good, aren't we?
Anyone can beat them. They league out with us.
Except Celtic.
That's just the way it goes. I mean, you look at like Aberdeen, Hearts aren't exactly pulling up many trees this season. Still hear people saying they could be title challengers. I don't know where that's coming from.
I think Hearts were the best team that have played against us this season.
Against us on a one-off basis, but
I mean, Hearts were the best team.
But in terms of against everyone else,
I think I think the way the seasons went, that was a factor of us playing 3 or 4 games in Europe first, and then going to a tough away game first day of the season. Everybody's level, points are up for it.
How long a break did we have before Hearts?
No,
was it a few days?
We played.
I think we might have had a game the midweek before.
We played Astana, didn't we? Played Astana.
It would have been Astana or the Motherwell League Cup game.
No, that was after. That was after
because
Sinclair started that game. He scored.
It must have been Astana.
It was Astana, second game against Astana. And what people don't realise as well, and we brought it up when we were talking about the semi-final of the League Cup, is everybody, because they wanted to believe Rangers were good enough to win a trophy, but they all backed Rangers to win the League Cup because Celtic will be occupied with Europe. Now, I think we were playing Saturday, Wednesday. I think we've been playing Saturday, Wednesday for the season. So, and we're getting better as the season goes on. So when they get a wee break, I think they're going to Dubai over Christmas. I've seen a rumour.
Celtic? I know Aberdeen are away to Dubai.
I think Celtic will probably play Aberdeen in a glamour friendly. But in terms of the Kilmarnock game, I think Friday night football, I think we'll see a few goals.
Hopefully, if I was going to prediction, we scored 6 against them at Celtic Park, and easily that day it could have been 3 or 4 more. I think we could do it.
And
keep it moderate.
Jamie McDonald had the game of his life, which
every single game against us,
every single goalkeeper this season has had a great game against us, and we're still rattling them. And
I think games against Kilmarnock away, I don't. Certainly, when
we
it comes
either
to
win 4 or 5-0, or we struggle.
Aye, it's one or the other, isn't it? These days, I think.
I can't remember the last time we went to Kilmarnock and just did like a routine.
Yep, 2-0. Aye, I think we'll go there, and I think the likes of Dembele, he'll be playing. You'll have a lot of your key guys playing. Sinclair should be fresh. We should have too much for them, really. I'd probably say another clean sheet, 3-0.
We've been keeping a lot of clean sheets recently.
It's gone a bit unnoticed, I think, because a lot of people at the start of the season were saying, we'll score more than you, and I don't think it was too much like that. It was a bit unfair. But Craig Gordon and Sviatchenko and Simonovic definitely have been picking it up the last 6 to 8 weeks.
It's so ironic. There was such a concern at the start of the season with how many goals we were shipping, and now they're going on this great run domestically without conceding a goal, and I can't see that ending either.
We sung his praises at the start of the season right up until the Gladbach game, and even then I still sang his praises. I think he's been a great signing. Kolo Toure third choice now?
Yeah.
Probably. I think Rodgers has said as much that long term it's no secret that he wants it to be Sviatchenko.
You just said O'Connell would maybe play. Toure no play?
I don't know.
I think Toure's here to start coaching as well, to be honest. I don't think he was here as... I think the emergence of Simunovic has surprised a lot of people. I think it's maybe changed the way Toure's role up here is going to work. I like Kolo Toure. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. But I think Simunovic is a younger, very similar version. It makes sense to stick with him.
Plus, Simunovic doesn't take any prisoners. I mean, he gets the ball and gets rid of it. It's just really pleasing to see.
I don't want to kick Toure when he's down or anything, but you wonder what would have happened if Simunovic was against Gladbach, whether those mistakes would have happened.
See, just on what you're saying, I'm thinking Colo might play because if I remember correctly, I think Kilmarnock's got that plastic pitch, and just based on Simonovic's past knee injuries, possibly
that's a good point.
That's a good point. But they might not want to put Kolo Toure
on that
kind of surface.
Boyata and O'Connell
at back. So leads us into one of the last segments this week is on Friday night BT Sport are piloting their new Friday night football show.
Alright.
Which is...
First I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's... well, I'm assuming it is. I've seen a tweet for Derek the other day.
I've seen the tweet, aye.
I think it's
quarter to 7
to 10 o'clock. which has got to be every Friday. I think it's every Friday night,
Is that
even though if there's no game on.
is that similar to the Soccer Saturday?
Yeah, I think
kind of
so.
thing,
But it's going to lead into Celtic v
It's going
Kilmarnock.
to,
I think the way they're going to do it is it's going to be every Friday night without a game, and they're going to preview the next.
I love football shows, but I'm not sure about the sound of that. To
Right,
be
well,
honest.
because it's Scottish football.
Is that a Scottish football show?
Yeah.
Aye,
It's-
BT
it's-
do a great job of covering it, but
Yeah.
you just don't want them to overdo it. I felt they overdone it a bit for the semi-final with Butcher.
Wheeling Terry Butcher out.
It's incredible because BT a lot of the time have these 45-minute build-ups to the likes of Aberdeen v Partick Thistle. And
but surely
I think you're
that's-
right. I think they overdo it a wee bit.
Surely it's encouraging though that somebody will put that time and effort
It
into
is.
Scottish football.
It is encouraging, but I don't know. Maybe it's just unusual. Maybe we're just not used to this kind of coverage.
But surely it's a good thing that it might be terrible, right? It might be 4 hours every Friday night or 3 hours every Friday night. It might be absolutely terrible, and you might just turn it on for the first 20 minutes to see the Celtic segment, because obviously that'll probably be near the start, and then say, I can't watch it, or stuff like that. I'll turn it on after Celtic segment's done. But surely it's good to see somebody make that effort.
It is good to see, but you can't force people to watch.
No, of course not. But if it's on, BT, as you say, I think they did over the SF final. I think they got a wee bit worried in the term it's their only chance doing a Celtic Rangers game, because Sky obviously it's written in their contract. You've seen Derek retweet Ian Crocker saying, you've got your game back and stuff at the end of the game. So I think they obviously had a meeting saying, right, how are we going to celebrate this? And they've overdone it a wee bit. They're short of cheerleaders in the studio, but they overdone it a bit. I thought Butcher, nothing against Terry Butcher, I just thought the whole free commentator angle for a big game, I think ideally they wanted Butcher and something to argue with each other, but I think Celtic were that dominant on the day
Yeah,
that
you couldn't
Butcher
argue.
could hardly.
I think the problem is Sky Sports are going to be showing a championship game on Friday night, most likely.
And I
People will watch that.
Well, if Celtic are on, people might watch Celtic. I think if you were to,
Do you think so?
yeah, I think if
Do you think English people?
but a lot
care?
of people want to tune in to see this Celtic team.
I mean, we don't watch
How-
Linfield or Clifton.
No, but
Hill,
how
do we?
many Man United fans or Tottenham fans or Man City fans or Chelsea fans on the day on Friday night will say, I want to see this boy Dembele? Instead of watching, I don't know the game, I'm just guessing, Brentford versus Fulham.
Yeah,
The Sky Sports game on Friday night is Brighton v Aston Villa.
Right, well, Villa.
that's no bad. by the
Villa's
way.
not bad. That's not a bad
That's
game,
not
but
bad.
a lot of fans might say, why watch this boy Dembele? I want to see how Scott Sinclair's getting on. Now, my point about it being a good thing that BT are showing a bit of enthusiasm, it might be rubbish, right? But the fact is they're showing it because we're getting short-changed by Sky coming on at 5 to 3 or 5 to 12, and you're getting
That's right.
David Tanner and Neil McCann in many ways coming up with the only theory is an anti-Celtic one. All they talk about is what happens if Celtic get beat.
You just need to look at Sky Sports panel. I mean, us against Aberdeen, it was Tanner, McCann and Russell Anderson. I mean, where are they pulling
And
Russell
then
Anderson
when
from?
it was Rangers Ross County, it was McCann,
McCulloch, wasn't it?
McCulloch and Tanner.
Who said all Rangers need to do is put the ball in the net.
But the point is, I think not just football fans, not just Scottish football fans, but you look at the difference. Look at what Monday Night Football does in England. You know, West Brom v Middlesbrough. Nobody wants to watch that, but we all want to watch Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher before the
Aye.
game. Nobody's tuning in to see Neil McCann and David Tanner arguing over whether Graham Shinney should have got a penalty and how many games Simonovic should be banned for. You know,
Well, look at the first game of the season. It went in one each at half time. Hearts players had obviously died for the penalty, and they spent 10 minutes talking about whether Stuart Armstrong was interfering with the keeper.
I'm pretty sure one of them said aye, and I'm pretty sure one of them said it was a penalty and all.
well, Andy Walker was championing Jamie Walker's dive.
That's right.
But the interesting thing was Rodgers was in the studio at the end of that game. Mind they did
Yeah,
the post-match, and like Neil McCann was actually terrified to disagree with him. But I just think with BT, if it is a show, I mean, obviously I'll watch it Friday for the game, but I think when the deal comes up, I don't know when it comes up because it just signed a new one, I think, but the SPFL have got to give BT sole rights.
Aye, but you can't. at the end of the day, they've got to see it as a business model as well. They can't say we want. You can't say BT are the preferred bidder, and then BT think, oh, we can save.
No, but
5-6 million.
It's not just that. You've got 4 Celtic Rangers games if they don't get relegated this season. To bargain with BT over.
If they don't get relegated.
No, but look, their coverage of the League Cup's been very good. Apart from the semi-final, right? The semi-final was a wee bit of OTT.
It's a bit of a circus, wasn't it?
But them showing, right, they're no our cup of tea, but them showing Motherwell Rangers at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in the group stages.
They showed 3 out of 4 of the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they showed, it's good. They've done a really good job of championing the event, though. You see how excited Sutton and that was for the draw, and you've seen how excited Sutton was when he threw Celtic out. But they play Rangers, but, BT are doing a lot of good things about Scottish football right now. Friday night might be a wee bit of, like, Celtic game might save it and stuff. Celtic game might save it in terms of people tuning in, next week if there's no a game it might, fade. But my point is, Sky are doing nothing to deserve Scottish football. Now, you can knock Scottish football you want, right? But we've got to the point now where we've obviously seen the Scotland game thing, where we used to champion my product. Sky gave us a bumper deal, and then maybe we got a wee bit too big for boots. They knocked that. I can't remember the guy's name now. He was on. I can't remember his name, but he knocked it back on behalf of the clubs and stuff. Roger Mitchell. He knocked it back on behalf of the clubs, and he was on championing himself. But the way we went for we want more money to. Do we deserve this pittance that we're getting at? We don't really deserve it, because who's going to tune in and watch Aberdeen away to Partick Thistle on a Friday night? But we need to start. We need to start championing the game again, and BT are doing a great job. Look at Scotland, England. Chris Sutton was actively championing Scotland during the whole game. He couldn't say any nicer things about Scotland. And I know that was for STV, but it was clearly the BT production team, because, Gary McAllister was there as well, with Derek Ray. And when Celtic play in Europe, I was gutted that the Man City game, the English version, took over with your Dan Fletcher and stuff, because Derek Ray would have went tonto when the Celtic goals went in.
I don't think you can persuade the English to watch Scottish football, though. I don't think you can persuade a certain element of them to watch it. I mean, as much as we can advertise it and say, it's not bad, give it a watch, that they won't do it, they don't like it. No, it's rubbish, it's League 2 according to them.
Yeah, but they watch League 2.
Do they? I don't know, but they don't. I don't know whether there's a bit of bitterness in their hatred for Scottish football, but I just don't think you can persuade the English to watch Scottish football, no matter how much we tell them it's alright.
Yeah, but I think things like this for BT need to be encouraged, though, and they need to be kind of celebrated. But I wouldn't.
Right, well, you look at Sky,
Sky just don't give a toss.
A circumstances dictated, but they put the Celtic Rangers game against Man City, Man U. That's not going to get us an audience. It's a tough one.
Sky only care about the Old Firm game. If Rangers stayed down for any longer than they did, I don't think Sky would have continued with Scottish football at all. They would have let the deal run out, and that would have been the end of it. They're only there for the Old Firm games, so whereas I think with BT there is a passion for Scottish football.
We don't say Old Firm on this podcast.
What do we say? Sevco. Is it Sevco, is it?
Glasgow Derby. We follow the Celtic Twitter method of just saying the Glasgow Derby. No, but you've got a good point, and the Man City, that was I mean, I know that because the Champions League, we're in Man City's group, we technically should be playing on the same day as them.
Yeah.
It's just, you think,
It annoys me as well, we could see as much as they're getting the 4 Celtic Rangers games, they're getting the Hearts away games, the Aberdeen away games, involving Celtic as well, which is...
BT are getting a lot more than Sky these days.
But Sky have paid a bit, and Sky don't care. They don't... Tanner and McCann don't care. If Celtic aren't getting beat, they don't care a jot. It's just so frustrating when you see... And the thing is, you're saying about you can't persuade people to watch a game.
I don't think you can.
But what about your man in England that turns around and says... I watched West Brom Middlesbrough last week and it was poor, so I don't really want to watch Stoke West Brom.
Rangers. But that doesn't mean they're going to throw on the Scottish football, does it?
Look at Sky Sports 3, Rangers are away to Ross County.
Are you going to watch that?
And it's one each. And
it's alright us saying how well we're playing this season, but I think
you say... My point is, if they get to half-time in these games and they turn it on, and they say, I'll turn you off for the second half, I'll not watch the second half, but I'll watch half-time analysis. You see Tanner and McKinnon, all the way today's champion Rangers, and you watch that game, you go, Rangers were so bad in that game, and they're going on as if. And then at the end of that game, you've got Neil McCann saying, well, Rangers have dominated every game they've played this season, except the Celtic game.
The thing is, it's a bit similar to us. Well, maybe you're different for me, but if I was watching a game on Sky, a Scottish game, and I was getting bored with it, then I'd switch over to see what else was on. If I saw something like Osasuna v Athletic Bilbao, I wouldn't think, I'll stick this on then, this will be cracking.
Yeah, but
since I've got nothing else to watch, I'd be like, no.
But see, if you did watch that, you wouldn't see Guillaume Balahy panning the game as a whole because it's like not each at half time. You're saying you can't convince some people, right? You're true, you can't, but there is a percentage of people that are put off by the lackadaisical, half-hearted effort of this guy. So BT's efforts should be applauded.
In terms of the English?
No, in terms of the Scottish games.
No, but I'm saying in terms of English people getting
They're saying to themselves, why should I bother if the people that are meant to be running it, meant to be passionate, just don't care?
I don't think they think that deeply about it, to be honest. I don't think they care that much to think, the coverage is.
You see it on Twitter often enough. Tin Pot League, my gran could play there.
Yeah,
that's the way they see
arrogance.
it.
Yeah, and you're not. Yeah, there is an arrogance, but the point is, it doesn't matter how bad the arrogance is. If Celtic if Sky aren't championing Scottish football, nobody will.
We need two people to have a good debate in the studios. We need people to argue. Something a bit energetic in the studios if you want any sort of increase.
Chris Sutton seems to get
Chris Sutton is hated.
But if Chris Sutton argued with somebody,
Derek Johnson,
for 10 minutes.
Well, think about it this way: how many people listened to that argument that probably wouldn't have listened in the first place?
Yeah, you're right. So, just to wrap things up, we're quite happy with BT's enthusiasm for the Scottish game.
And I think the only way to improve a TV deal is independence. No, it's just
no, it's good. You can't knock back coverage. I'm not as optimistic about how added coverage is going to improve viewer figures. But encourage BT. They're the most enthusiastic company since Satanta about Scottish football. So, I prefer Satanta. Bring back Satanta. Preferred them. That was when Scottish football used to be tough.
2 o'clock.
Satanta.
2 o'clock Sunday kick.
That's right. Aye. They were brilliant.
So have you enjoyed your podcast debut?
It's been not bad. I quite enjoyed it. Roasting, but it's been alright.
So just a recap, quick prediction for Friday night.
6-0 Celtic. Scott Sinclair get a hat-trick.
I'll go 3-0, I think. If I was to go goal scorers, I'll say Dembele, Sinclair and Azagiri.
That's a bold pick. I'll say 4, and I'll go for 4-0, and I think s2e9's going to score.
Listen, Azagiri will be brimming with confidence to see his goal for Honduras.
So all it left me to be said, if you've made it as far as we have in this lovely Thursday afternoon, then we've got nothing but respect for you and in association with Hail Media. So is there anything you'd like to say, Dan?
No, just cheers for listening, and we've listened to your feedback about the sound quality, and this should be better.
It should be better.
But you can let us know. Respect the pod.
We're recording with a wee bit of class today.
Definitely.
We're in a radio studio.
That's just our guest.
Yeah, that's just a guest we've got. We've got a radio studio deep in the suburbs of Glasgow, underground.
Nobody can hear the screams. That's right.
But thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with
back at some point.
Barcelona review and a Kilmarnock review, because next Sunday is League Cup final.
True.
That's right.
Leg 1 of the treble.